thought I'd take the opportunity, as I have makeup on my face, to do a introduce myself video kind of thing, because I realised that I've put all these vlogs up and everything, and I've kind of invited you into my life, but I haven't kind of explained to you who I am and why you should care. So I thought I'd do a little video. So my name is Anna. I am 33. I live in the UK, in Kent, and I'm a bookseller, predominantly in the children's department. So I read a lot of middle grade and a lot of YA because I am technically in charge of the teen section. So you will see me reading a lot of teen, especially in May. I think I'm going to make that kind of a YA May kind of vlog again, because I need to catch up on my YA. So much has come out, and I'm getting a bit behind. So yeah, you'll see a lot of me reading that, and middle grade. I love a good middle grade book. But as you can see behind me, I do read a lot of fantasy. I will do a library tour at some point, but it's a little bit messy at the minute. It's a very small room, so it can get messy with just one pile of books on the floor. But I read a lot of fantasy. I read a lot of non-fiction, specifically true crime, but we'll go into that in a minute. I read a lot of horror, historical fiction, which was my first love. It's what got me into reading. Classics, a little bit of crime, a little bit of translated fiction. So I do read a lot. I've also started my manga journey, so there's that as well. So yeah, I do read pretty broadly. I have quite a bit of knowledge, which is because it's part of my job, but also because I love books, and I love the escapism, and I love getting into kind of the mindset of other people, seeing other people's experiences or cultures, just like, you know, exploring. It's not only exploring the world and escaping, but it's also kind of, you're learning at the same time, and you're growing as a person, you're growing your empathy, you're growing, you know, your knowledge. You can learn a lot from books, even if it is just fiction. So I think that's what I love about books, and I think it's very underrated from I would say the normal public that aren't obsessed like we are about reading. So yeah, I do love reading. It's my job, it's my hobby, it's my entire life, I would say. In fact, I just got my third bookish tattoo, which is a anatomical heart for Frankenstein. I literally got this a couple of hours ago. I also have I don't know if I can bend my arm that way. I have a thistle for Outlander, and also because my family originated in Scotland, and I just love Scotland as a whole. And I also have so this is the symbol for the Claremont Bishop family from the All Souls trilogy. So I might as well go on, so I've started talking about my favourite books. So Outlander, because after a little bit of a rut, as I said, historical fiction always saves me, and Outlander got me out of, I would say, a depressive episode. It kind of woke me up, and I devoured the series, and that's my dog trying to get in. Hi, you're gonna come sit? Don't sit on Dee Dee. Let me move Dee Dee. Hello, darling. You gonna come sit down? There's Hazel. We'll talk about Hazel in a minute. Yes, my darling. Yes. So let's talk about my favourite books. So Outlander obviously is number one. First kind of one. Next level with Hunger Games, I would say. Hunger Games again came into my life when I was very lonely, very kind of not sure what was going on. I was at uni. It was a weekend where all of the housemates were gone, and I literally didn't talk to a person for about 72 hours. And I was it wasn't great. So I read the first 2 Hunger Games, and as you know, Catching Fire ends on that cliffhanger. So I went to the Tube, got a tube to the nearest W.H. Smith's, and I bought Mockingjay, and then I got back home and I read it, and I did that all without talking to anyone, a whole 72 hours on my own, which nowadays would be lovely. But you know, I was just a little baby at uni, and I'd never been that lonely before. So Hunger Games saved me, and that's the next tattoo. And then we have A Discovery of Witches, that series, the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. She's also writing more books in the series. I'm so excited for Blackbird Oracle. Oh my god, so excited. I don't know what it is about A Discovery of Witches. I think it's just because it's like the full package. It's got magic, it's got romance, there's a history in it. They go back in time. There's dark academia notes. There's just, and underlying it all is just this need for the characters, Diana especially, to kind of prove the different types of people, like witches, demons, vampires and humans, shouldn't be segregated, and they shouldn't be punished for knowing each other and being friends and possibly being in love. And I kind of, to me, that translates to, it probably wasn't Deborah's main goal, but to me it feels very much like the fight for the LGBTQ plus people to be allowed to be who you are and to love who you want. And I feel very much that, you know, the whole message of you can't segregate people, you know, whether they're vampire, witches, black or white, trans or not. You can't. People are people. I'm getting on a soapbox. Anyway, the next book is The Toymakers by Robert Dinsdale. This is like a Christmassy kind of magical, historical fantasy, based before World War One. A young girl falls pregnant because she wanted to try out sex, and that's completely fine, but she doesn't want to give up her child, so she runs away from home because she found this notice in the newspaper. And I'll see if I can grab it. So it's, you're gonna settle down? Come here, come here. Yeah. So the notice that she sees says, "Help wanted. Are you lost? Are you afraid? Are you a child at heart? So are we." Hang on. The Emporium opens with the first frost of winter. Sales and stock taking, no experience required. Bed and board included. Apply in person at London's premier merchant of toys and childhood paraphernalia, Papa Jack's Emporium, Iron Duke Mews, London. So she goes to this toy shop where all the toys are like alive. The ballerinas twirl on point, and the toy soldiers fight each other, and you've got dragons flying through the sky, and there's paper Christmas trees that spring out of the box, and then you've got a pine forest in your living room, and it's just magical and it's just fantastic. But also at the same time, it's about I feel it is anti-war, and because obviously one of our main characters has to head off to World War One and fight in the trenches, and then there's like the discussion on that, and the discussion on being a coward, because one of the brothers can't go to war because they're medically not fit for it. So is he a coward for not going to war, and why is the other one brave for having to go to war? And there's also Papa Jack, who is like this mountain of a man, who runs the store, and he was in a gulag where he was mistreated because I believe he's Jewish, and he's mistreated, and he goes through some trauma, but throughout he kind of keeps this goodness in his heart, because as he keeps kind of telling our characters, all men were children once. They were all children that they, you know, and in their heart they still are. And it's so magical. And he started off by making little chestnut men and stuff, and they would come to life and dance and stuff, and it's just absolutely beautiful, and it's breathtaking. And this book, I read it every Christmas. I think I've written down, I've read it nearly every Christmas since it was published, and it's absolutely fantastic. My next favourite book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I think it's just the different stories woven in together. I've never read a story like it before, where it's one thing, but you've also got these characters that have to kind of do another, and oh my god, it's mind-blowing how she came up with it, and the way she writes is absolutely stunning, and it's just a mesmerizing piece of work. And I actually have a bear from Build-A-Bear. When you first meet her, Mirabelle, she has bright pink hair, and it's a kind of a costume party, but based around literary characters and everything, and she's dressed as Max from the Wild Things, Where the Wild Things Are. So I've got a teddy bear that's bright pink, that's dressed as Max from the, and this is Mirabelle. And she's so soft. So she hangs out in my library. And then the latest book that might be a favourite, I've only read it once. It kind of affected me so much, and it's I still think about it. It's been about 2 months since I read it, and it's The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. So that's a contender. I'm going to reread it and see if it's still in there, if it's a favourite. So yeah, those are my favourite books. Special interests apart from reading, there aren't a lot. I love cooking. I love cooking for my family. It's kind of a way of me, I think it's a love language for me to cook for someone. I'm taking care of them and I'm looking after them. I love cooking for my family. I also love sewing. I went to college and university, and studied technical theatre, specialising in costume, so I know how to sew. And I also worked for a time as a wardrobe mistress at this private school, which was crazy. And then I worked in a dress shop, making wedding dresses and doing alterations on clothing for about 3 years. So yeah, I enjoy sewing. It's been a while since I've actually sewn. That's better. Had to move. We recently moved, but we spent a long time with our stuff in boxes because there was problem after problem. So I haven't sewn specifically in a while. I have just picked up cross stitching again after a while, and I'm really enjoying it. It's quite calming in the evenings with an audiobook on, or with a podcast, which takes me to my other special interest, which is true crime. I'm a true crime girly. I read a lot of it, I watch a lot of it, I listen to a lot of it. I'm fascinated by the psychology of killers and people who harm others. And I went to a talk once with a criminal psychologist who kind of went into it, which was fascinating. And one of my friends from work has actually gone to uni to be a forensic psychologist, so I am fascinated by what she's going to be studying, and I'm following her closely, bless her. But yeah, I read a lot of it. I have a lot of knowledge on it. I think I'm fascinated by how you can solve a case and catch bad guys with forensics and DNA and everything, and cold cases that can be solved, and just the whole kind of way of solving it, and the killer's psychology. So I think it truly started when I watched Mindhunter on Netflix the first time, which is about when the FBI in the, I think it's like late 70s, 80s, when they started interviewing serial killers like Edmund Kemper and other ones. Son of Sam. They interviewed Son of Sam. They interviewed Ted Bundy, but he wasn't on Mindhunter. And some other lesser known serial killers, to kind of come up with profiles, and it's helped them solve cases up to today. And I find it fascinating that you can kind of spot the pattern in someone's behavior and their history. So yeah, I'm just fascinated by it. I'm not one of those people that are like buying things on Etsy that with Dharma's face on it or Bundy, because I think those people are deplorable, but I also think we can learn things from them. And I don't know why, but I'm fascinated by them. I'm actually staring at my true crime books right now. I have a whole bookcase for how to solve a crime, stories of human cruelty and compassion from a forensic psychologist. Yeah, I'm just fascinated by it. I'm also a big fan of Halloween. Not the movie. The movies suck. I'm sorry if that's your favourite, but I don't like it. Yeah, I love Halloween. It's, I think, my favourite holiday, my favourite season. With the ghosts and the witches and the bats and pumpkins. So yeah, I love Halloween. This is kind of, they roll into one. So I'm a vegetarian. I'm trying to become a vegan, but it's a little bit hard because of my illnesses. I have let's start with the spine. I have degenerative disc disease, which means the discs in my spine, which should be, as my surgeon calls it, plump little donuts filled with jam. They are currently crepes. They are pancakes. There is no jam. And the discs in your spine act as cushions for the vertebrae. So I can't feel, there are no feelings there's no nerves in your discs, but there are nerves in your vertebrae. But the discs herniate and press on the sciatic nerve that runs all the way down from your brain down your spine, and that's where all your nerves kind of ping off from. So they press into that. I've had surgery on my lumbar part of my spine. I had a partial discectomy in February 2019, because my herniated disc got so bad that I couldn't feel the left side of my left leg, and I couldn't lift it up when I walked, so I kind of dragged it like Igor. And I still have nerve damage down that leg. It's not as strong as my other leg. So when I learn to drive later on this year, I'm gonna have to drive an automatic, because I can't move the left leg as fast as my right leg. So with the whole brake and clutch situation, it wouldn't be good. I also have fibromyalgia, which stems from, we think, the shock of my herniated disc. Fibromyalgia is a chronic pain disorder, and I mean, it's not just chronic pain. It's It affects my joints. I don't sleep very well. I have insomnia, but at the same time, I'm chronically tired. I'm exhausted all the time. I don't have very much energy. The way I describe it is I'm an old iPhone. So no matter how much you charge it, my battery's always on red. And I am in constant pain from, the top of my body to the bottom, 24/7. I'm always in pain. I don't know what it feels like to not be in pain at this point. It's been a fair few years. And one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia is migraines. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically non-allergy something with your sinuses. So most of the time I have a runny nose. Bright lights, big smells, can't do those. One of the other symptoms is also irritable bowel syndrome, which is why I'm finding it hard to become a vegan, because not that hard, because I'm now lactose intolerant as well, because you can get sudden allergies with fibromyalgia, and I've become allergic to lactose, which is fine. I didn't want to ingest any anyway. But because of the IBS, I might also be gluten intolerant. And it's just getting the vitamins and everything that I need to get through my day is a little bit tricky at the minute with my food, because I am already lacking due to fibromyalgia. But I am on lots of pills. I take about 23 a day, just to get through my day. So yeah, it's hard, but I'm getting through it. I can do it. It is incurable. So this is what my life's going to be like for the rest of my life. When I say, the rest of my life I'm just going to be in constant pain, I can handle it. There are days when I can't, when it gets too much and my brain's like, we need a break from smiling, and we need to curl up in a ball in the bed with a hot water bottle and Hazel by our side. She's a very good nurse. So because of the fibromyalgia and the degenerative disc disease, I can't do a lot, hence the reading. I can't lift much. I can't stay up much in the day. If I'm not at work, I usually do have a nap. I know they say don't have a nap, but it's hard not to nap when I'm exhausted 24/7. So I'm going to nap when my body tells me to. And it's made me take less hours at work, so I'm now part-time, but that's what's best for my body, so that's what we're doing. And it's actually, my work has improved. I've gotten better at work, so that's good. And I do technically have more time to read because of the fibro and the degenerative disc disease. As I said, it has changed my life a lot, and I do talk about it in my vlogs, not as much as I could. But I don't want people to think that I'm trying to get pity points. It's just talking about it helps, and it is a major part of my life. It's changed everything for me. So when I will talk about it, because it's my life, it's part of my life, and I think if I don't talk about it, I'm doing a disservice to other people who are going through it, and I don't want to seem like everything's fine when it's not. And I think I want to be 100% transparent when I'm in pain or things aren't going right. Like when I had the massive flare and was vomiting, which brought on my pain worse. It gave me a pain flare and I had to walk through it, and it was just it's hard, and I don't think we should be hiding our life generally as disabled people. I think it's time to stop hiding disabled people and showing other people who are going through it or might be thinking they're going through it that it's tough, but you know, you can live with it, you can get through it. And I'm saying that because it's a good day. If it's a bad flare day, I'll probably be saying something else, because it has given me clinical depression. So most days I get through it, but some days the depression hits, and you know, it is depressing not being able to do things to help your family and your friends out as much as you want to, or to live with your room in a mess because you don't have the energy to tidy it, or to eat a shitty meal because you don't have the energy to cook a whole meal that's good for you, but you need to eat something, and you feel bad because you can't help people and stuff like that. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, Hazel helps me get through it. Hazel is my 9-year-old dog. She's a family dog, but she's also mine. She's my baby. She's next to me right now. She is we think a rough collie mixed with a terrier. We rescued her from Ireland. She was the runt of the litter, and I remember when we went to go get her from the rescue's house, she was in a crate on her own, cowering, and because she'd had worms, she was really skinny, you could see her ribs. And I sat down and the rescue lady plopped her on my lap, and that was when I became a parent. That was when I became the dog mum, and I kind of swore to her in my head that she's never going to be lonely or cold or hungry again, because no animal or person deserves that. So yeah, she's my baby. She sleeps in my room with me. Because of the terrier, she's very yappy. I think it's probably the collie as well. She loves to round up my dad, who has he's an amputee, so he walks a bit slowly. He hasn't got his right leg, so he walks slower. He's also 78, so he has a frame, and but she's rounding him up the whole time. She's like herding him to his seat, and it's really cute. She's obsessed with playing ball, obsessed, but she also loves cuddles. She's my best friend. I've decided to start an English literature degree with the Open University. Started in January, so it's going well. I am a little bit stuck on my second essay, but that's because Mary Wollstonecraft is tricky. Tricky to explain, but I'm getting there. It'll be fine. But because it's part-time, it will take 6 years to get my degree, but I think it'll be worth it in the end, because then I can, if I need to, advance into publishing with more of a sit-down job. In case my body can't take it anymore. It's just a contingency plan, just in case. You might have seen that my Instagram name is Hekate's Library, and that's because I guess you could call me a witch. I guess. I'm one of those girlies. I love the crystals, I love the candles. I work with Hekate, who is the goddess of crossroads, the moon. She works with dogs. And I also work with Artemis. Obviously everyone knows Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, who also loves dogs. And I work with Persephone as well, because they each give me strength in places I think I need help with. So Hecate kind of gives me strength to be who I am, and Artemis, we both kind of, I feel very protective of women, children, and, you know, the people of the LGBTQ plus community. So I kind of feel an affinity with Artemis in that way. We're very protective. I'm not sure if Artemis protected the LGBTQ plus community, but I know she was, she's a big protector of women and children. And I kind of, I feel that in me as well. And Persephone kind of, as a victim of, I mean, she was kidnapped and raped by her husband. So as a victim of like mistreatment from men, and yet she has the strength to be like the dread queen of the underworld, but also the goddess of spring, and to keep her power. I'm kind of trying to learn that from her as well. So yeah, they each give me strength. I wouldn't say I worship them. I work with them, and they give me strength and inspire me to be a better person. I think that's how I see it. I am learning the tarot, but I can't remember the meanings of the cards because of my brain fog from the fibromyalgia. My memory's not great, so I can't really remember what the cards mean. But I also have oracle cards, which are easier to remember. And yeah, I believe in manifesting. I know a lot of people think it's bullshit, but I believe it, and I believe if you put positive vibes out there, you'll get positive vibes back. I generally just try to treat others in a kind way and respect other people until they disrespect me, and then I will be rude. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And Hazel, I suppose. she's flat out. Yeah, baby. You alright? High five? High five. Yeah. So thank you for watching. I hope you continue to watch and kind of subscribe and see my journey and all my reading escapades. Or just keep up to date with Hazel. But yeah, I'll see you next time.